So Saber is essentially the Curve equivalent on Solana. It's the dominant stable swap platform here. And when you go to farms, you can see that essentially, if you take your LP tokens here and you stake it on Saber, you get a certain amount of Saber rewards and whatever the other rewards are here as well. So for example, for the UST USDC pool, if you LP in it, you get 4.52% APY in Saber tokens, as well as a 0.76% APY that comes from UST and USD as well. So the APY rewards that you see here, it's going to vary on the basis of basically how much TVL is in there. So the more TVL is in a certain pool, of course, the less the rewards are going to be, as well as the fact that Saber governance token holders can actually vote on where to incentivize each of these pools with Saber rewards. So for example, this Saber Tribe LP pool, so this is for the Turkish lira. I think on the next epoch, basically, it's going to get 41% of the share of SBR rewards. So it's going to get 418,000 Saber a day to incentivize this pool. And so the APYs are going to be quite large. And then people are going to go in and LP in those pools in order to capture those APYs. So there's going to be very deep liquidity in these particular pools. And then we can see here that the Euro pools, so this is the AC Euro, AG Euro LP pool, is going to be incentivized with 18% of the allotted Saber rewards. So 180,000 Saber is going to be, released into this pool every day to people who provide liquidity in that particular pool. And so if we just scroll down here, we can see that the share of Saber rewards just continues to go down and down and down as we keep scrolling down, to the point where some of these pools don't really have Saber incentivization, or they won't have any Saber rewards to incentivize liquidity there for next week. And so essentially what happens is that you can take your Saber tokens and then you can lock them up in this locker here. And when you do so, you receive V Saber tokens in return, which is vote escrowed Saber. So you can lock them up for a period of 1 week, or up to a period of 5 years. So in between 1 week and 5 years, you can lock up your Saber tokens for, and then you receive V tokens in return. And so the longer that you lock up your tokens, the more V Saber tokens you'll receive. And that effectively gives you a greater governance powers. So people who are sort of very long-term aligned with Saber, they can lock up their tokens for say 5 years, and they will have a greater control over where Saber rewards are going to go in each of these pools. So that's effectively how it works. So as of right now, there isn't boosted Saber farming rewards for DAO participants, but there will be in the future, and that's effectively what you have on Curve. But we're still very early into the Saber Wars right now, so I don't think we have that quite in place. So this is like early February when I'm recording this video, so just keep that in note. So we also have Sunny Aggregator, which is also participating in the Saber Wars. So essentially, Sunny Aggregator just allows you to take your Saber LP tokens and then stake them on this platform, and in return you get Sunny tokens. So for example, for this Saber UST USDC LP pool, you can get 25% APY if you stake your LP tokens here. So this is both in the form of Saber tokens and Sunny tokens. So it's 25% APY on Sunny, but if we go to Saber, it's only like, say, a little over 5% APY on Saber itself. So essentially, you're getting incentivized to take your Saber LP tokens, and then instead of staking them in the Saber farms, you'll be staking them on Sunny Aggregator. Now, Sunny Aggregator has its own governance, so they can incentivize people to provide liquidity in various different Saber pools in different ways. So in this pool, we can see that its next share, it's going to have 30% of the Sunny emissions, and then the UXD USDC pool is going to get 24% of the emissions. This pool is going to get 20%, and if we just go down here, we can see that a lot of these pools aren't going to get any Sunny emissions at all. So I remember, I think, for like the last epoch, the UST USDC pool, as you can see here, had 52% of the share of Sunny emissions, and that's why you can see that the APY is so high. Despite its TVL being one of the highest, it's still got an extremely high percentage APY, and that's because someone came in got a bunch of Sunny tokens, locked them up, and then voted for the UST USDC LP pool to have a ton of Sunny emissions. And essentially that incentivized people to go ahead, LP in this pool, and then take their tokens over to Sunny and stake them there instead of actually going ahead and staking them in the Saber pool. So this is quite interesting. So we've already got like one protocol that's taking advantage of this, and we're going to start to see more in the future as well. Like I said, I don't think we have boosted farming yields for DAO participants yet, but we'll probably see that soon being implemented. It's still quite early in the Saber Wars. We don't have the whole bribe ecosystem set up. We don't have like various different protocols vying for Saber, like control of the Saber emissions or control of Sunny emissions. So that will come soon. So why would people actually want to care about this, right? So say, for example, UXD. So UXD is a brand new stablecoin here on Solana, and they want to start gaining adoption. But they're not really going to get that much adoption if there isn't much liquidity for the stablecoin. So what they can do, they can accumulate a ton of Sunny tokens and then vote for all of the Sunny emissions like next week to go to the UXD USDC LP pool, which it looks like they've done here. So last week it only had 0.89% of the Sunny emissions, but now it has 24% of the Sunny emissions for next week. So essentially we're going to have a lot of people going ahead and LPing in the UXD USDC LP pool in Saber, and then taking those LP tokens to Sunny Aggregator and staking them here for yield. So essentially what that means is that the UXD token now has a ton of liquidity, and it also means that it will start to get more usage because the larger players can actually like trust that UXD will hold peg and that they can do their swaps with very low slippage. Say for example you have, you know, like $500,000 and you wanted to swap your USDC for UXD. However, there's very low liquidity in that pool and you might like lose 5% of your swap. Then you're probably not going to want to actually go ahead and use the UXD token because it might not be worth it to you. But if you incentivize liquidity through either, you know, like Sunny or Saber by controlling the votes there, and then voting for a particular gauge, and then voting for a particular pool to have like a lot of the emissions, then you can incentivize liquidity, and that means that more people are likely to use your particular stablecoin. So there's a lot more nuance to it, particularly in the current iteration of Curve Wars on Ethereum, but we'll start to see that being built out on the Solana ecosystem. So if we just take a look at Sunny Aggregator price over time, when it, you know, sort of first arrived on the scene in September, basically it just had down only because there was almost no point to holding Sunny, right? It was just a farm token. It had no governance. It had no control over everything. You would just stake your Saber LP tokens there and then farm the Sunny token and sell it off. And then you had a ton of large funds actually go ahead and do that. So, you know, a lot of this TVL here that you see on Sunny, so like these are hundreds of millions of dollars. It's not your average user. These are funds. And so those funds just sold off the Sunny token, and we can see that it went down like about 92% from its all-time highs. But since we sort of had the advent of the Saber Wars, and we can see here that since January 1st, basically the price of Sunny is up 90% because people are starting to actually accumulate Sunny and not sell it in order to vote on the gauge weightings for the Sunny Aggregator like governance tab here. So that's the price of Sunny. Let's just take a look at the price of Saber. Now, if you are going to play the Saber Wars, I think the actually buying Saber itself probably isn't going to be the play. So we just take a look here. Basically, Saber is still down like 94% from all-time highs. Now, whilst more and more Saber is going to get locked up, a lot of Saber is actually going to get flooded into sort of the ecosystem because, like, as you can see here, there is Saber emissions there are Saber emissions that incentivize each of these pools, and these Saber emissions are going to get sold off into the market, and that's why you've seen a lot of basically just ton of selling pressure on Saber. So the play is to not really accumulate Saber tokens. It would be to accumulate something like Sunny Aggregator. Like the equivalent of that in the Curve Wars on Ethereum is Convex, and Convex has done very well over time. As you can see here, it's like up a few 100% since August. And if we just take a look at the price of the Curve token, for example, this should sort of give you an idea of where Saber might go over time. As you can see, it's actually not performed that well. Since it was like, had its token release in August of 2020, it's basically been flat to down. And especially when you compare it to the price of ETH, like, it's performed extremely badly over time as well. So just keep that in mind. There are going to be more and more protocols coming along and actually going to take advantage of this. So we're still in very much early days, but I think the play is definitely not going to be actually holding any Saber tokens. Additionally, there's just going to be a massive amount of sell pressure on Saber to just actually realize these APYs. So just keep that in mind. So thank you for watching this. This was just a short introduction video onto the Saber Wars. Leave any questions that you have down below and I'll be happy to answer them. And make sure to subscribe for more videos like this one.